everybody, my name's Kiahonfire and welcome to a Conan Exiles video. Today we're going to be looking at corruption and ways you can get corrupt to be able to perform sorcery and be able to put in your corruption attributes. So there are several ways you can get corrupt in the game, and I'm going to discuss some ways you can get, corrupt really fast or slowly. And so you can do these things when you need to get fully corrupt to be able to do sorcery, because you're going to need to be corrupt to be able to do a lot of the new content. Now, corruption is no joke. You could end up looking really veiny and ugh. It's just a sorcery thing. But there are items that can help you instantly get there. So let's have a look at them, shall we? There are a few that's really easy, and even sorcery itself, doing it, actually gives you corruption. So if I was just to, use the sacrificial stone and whatever else, let's say I want to drain his soul. This is a good way you can just get corruption off the bat. Also, just doing this activity, you're going to need blood and souls anyway when it comes to sorcery. So you might as well. And you can see just taking his soul immediately gets me to the point I need to be. Or, oh, stop crying, my dude. I'm sorry. So disturbing. Anyway, just taking his soul gets me to the full corruption I need anyway. So I can just use normal sorcery means to do this if I really wanted to and make a guy go really crusty. Or I can use other ways to do it if that's not your fancy. There are several, corruption places on the map you could go. You could go to the sinkhole to get corruption. There's lots of purple fog there. You can go around any obelisk on the map and also get corrupted. You could go to the unnamed city and get corrupted. You could go in the Shaleback Hollow and get corruption. There are all sorts of places on the map you can get corruption pretty easily. Obelisk will probably be one of your easiest, or if you go to specific places you can also get some corruption going on. But it is a very slow way to get corruption, and you'll be waiting a while in these locations to get corruption. There are other ways you can go about it to get it more quickly though. You could go about making the corruption brew if you really wanted to. Ignore the event going on right now. There's people falling from the sky from the blowback event, but if you want corruption brew you can get the recipe via this book here, and there's a few other recipes in the area too. Just hopefully an event like this isn't going on at the time you want the recipe book, because that's going to make it really hard to get otherwise. But that's where you're going to get corruption brew, in the summoning place. And if you don't know where the summoning place is, it's the only really place on the map with the big red eyeball, just right where I am. It's not actually too far from my setup. Actually, it looks really cool, that event going on. You can see it from ages away. That is quite a while away from me, and I can see an event going on in full force. Anyway, corruption brew, I've learnt it from the place. You can see I can now make it. Only takes purified water, demon blood, and yellow lotus blossom. This is a really cheap recipe to make, so if you want fast corruption you could also try using corrupting brew. And if you want to get rid of it also, you could just use dancers, or you could also use cleansing brew. That's another way to take it off of you if you want it gone fully. As long as you don't have attributes, by the way. If you make yourself have corrupted attributes and you set it in big purple attributes, no matter what you do, like drink this stuff, see a dancer, it won't let your corruption bar go down. You actually need to reset your attributes to be able to get rid of the corrupt points you put in. Just bear that in mind. So you won't be able to get rid of corruption if you do that. You'll need to reset your actual attributes and then go about cleaning your corruption out. Anyway, that's a couple of ways to get corrupt. There's also a really good way you can get corrupt as well. I went over in a previous video and you probably saw it already. Either of the black blade and the black hammer. You get this from the Warmaker dungeon, and they have the attribute called cursed on them. Now anything cursed should usually give you instant corruption, so you're going to see if I equip this after a while, it should just immediately smack bang give me corruption, and there you go. That's an extremely easy way to get corruption and use it as a sorcery tool. So if you have these laying about or anything, or you're like, oh, they're kind of useless because they make me corrupt and bloody blah, they might actually be a useful weapon to use now, because, if you want to be a sorcerer, you have to be corrupt anyway, and it's going to take away 50% of your health and stamina. You can use these and it will be useful now to use, because it's going to keep you corrupt. It's going to be an instant way to get corrupt. They're really high damaging stuff, and you know, it will just work out well that way. Even if you just want to keep one around just to, you know, equip it and give you corruption, that's something you can now do, and you'll want to utilize because you're going to need corruption to do certain spells. Oh, my stuff's disappearing. But those are just a few ways you can get corrupt really quickly, and like I said, anything you do sorcery wise will usually give you corruption. So if we look in here, if you use any of the stations and stuff like that, it will usually give you corruption. So like if you use the shallow grave, it could give you corruption. Circle of power will give you corruption, you know, all sorts. Sacrificial stone is a very good way to get corruption, as we demonstrated in the start of the video. So there are many ways you can get corrupt in this new update or have items ready, but by far the easiest one I'd say is definitely having a couple of these weapons on hand, or just one of them, because then they're usually weapons that just sit in your storage and do nothing, but now you can just use it as an instant way with no effort to get corruption. The only effort you'll be doing is getting it in the first place, but once you've got it, is a sure fact way to get yourself corrupt instantly without much effort, just standing there and just equipping it, and then you got corruption. Or the next best way I would definitely say is the soul drain, where you just need to knock out a crappy thrall, stick it on the bench and drain its soul or blood, and then that should give you corruption as well pretty fast. Any other way can be pretty slow, so I definitely recommend those two over anything else really when it comes to this, because of course when you're making corruption brew, it's a nice thing to have on you on hand, and it's not that really heavy to carry a full stack. So I guess if you were going out somewhere and you wanted to do a bit of sorcery or whatever, or if you wanted to actually go harvesting and you wanted to corrupt yourself so you could take a bat home, you could do it that way instead, and that could be a way you go around. But those are just some ways to get corrupt. I hope it helps you when it comes to the update. It could be worth considering going out and getting some of these items, or stocking up on some corruption brew or cleansing brew. Definitely recommend it. Could be good if you want to try out some of the sorcery stuff. It could get you to sorcery a bit faster if you get these things ready, or just bear them in mind when you start a new playthrough for Sorcery 3.0, because that's what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, thank you for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.